Happy Sunday, Flosstube. My name is Melissa, also known as Stitcher Mel on Instagram and here on YouTube, and on my blog, stitchermel.com. And today is Sunday, November 24th. It is the beginning of Thanksgiving week for those of us here in the U.S. So for all of my U.S. viewers, happy Thanksgiving a few days early. I hope you have a wonderful time, however you choose to spend it, whether it's with friends, family, or on your own. However you're planning to celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I will not be doing anything really for Thanksgiving this year. I work the day before and the day after, so I literally only have the one day off. So I am planning to just have a quiet Thanksgiving at home. I will probably prepare a small version of a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with turkey, stuffing, all the accoutrements. But yeah, and the nice thing about having a small Thanksgiving on your own is you have lots of leftovers. So there's that. And one of my favorite things in the world is a turkey and stuffing sandwich with cranberry sauce. So yeah. Anyway, again, happy Thanksgiving to all my US viewers. So let's get to the cross stitching. This is a channel about cross stitching. So if you have come here expecting something else, I hope you'll stick around and see what I'm sharing anyway. But if you have come for the cross stitching, you're in the right place. So first thing I'm going to start off with is some finishes. I have amazingly had four finishes since my last Flosstube video, about two and a half weeks ago. I recorded the last one a little bit earlier than normal, so this one is this stretch is a little bit longer because that one was a little bit shorter. But yeah, I have 4 finishes. So we will start with those. And these are not necessarily in the order of how I finished them, but the first thing I have finished is my Deck the Halls Mystery Sal. Trying to get that straight. This is from Caterpillar Cross Stitch in the UK. It's available in their online store, which I'll link that below. You can still get it, even though the sale has officially ended. You can still get the chart, and now, of course, you just get it all as one big chart. We received it in 6 parts, so each kind of little saying down the design was a separate installment in the sale. So yeah, I absolutely love this. I think it turned out super cute. I stitched it on 32 count, what is this? Vintage Stormy Night Lugana from Zweigart. So yeah, love the colors. It's kind of a very modern looking Christmas design. So I love that. No idea yet how I'm going to FFO it. Then the next one I have this is actually part 1 of 3. It's 3 separate charts. But I do have chart 1 finished, and I'm going to be doing the entire series. It's called Pumpkin Farm, and I'll put a picture up here of what the full series is going to look like. It's by a Canadian designer, Shannon Christine Designs. And so I have finished chart 1, which is Pumpkin Truck. Love that little teal truck. Super, super cute. I keep getting things crooked. Sorry about that. So yeah, so then the other 2 will just go on right next to it, and then I'll end up with, the full piece. I'm having a little bit of an adjustment today. I normally film with my selfie camera, but today I now got some monitoring software over here so I can see what I'm doing on my laptop. And so I'm using the rear facing camera since it's a higher quality camera. And so I'm having to kind of readjust how I do everything. So if you see me randomly looking off in weird places, you'll know now what's going on. So okay, the next one I have, I was working on, it was a whip during my last Flosstube, and that was house number 8 in the Glitter Village series. So I did finish that one. And then I'll just flip this around. I have also finished house number 9. Let's see, I need to show a little bit more of that. It's not all showing. There we go. So that is house 9. Ooh, my snowman's eye got a little wonky. My French knots tend to do that. Anyone else have that issue? Yeah, there we go. So now my entire village is done. Now I have not pressed any of these. I typically wait and press my finished pieces when I FFO them because I'm just going to put them away, you know, in a storage box until I do FFO them. So it doesn't make sense to me to press it and then fold it and put it away when I'm just going to have to press it again when I FFO. So I just wait and press when I FFO. But here is my entire village. This is stitched on 32 count raw silver opalescent. I believe that's also from Zweigert. Let me double check my notes. Yes. But this is linen. So the other two were Luganas, but this is a linen. And I absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's so cute. This one I will frame, and I will probably take it and have it professionally framed versus framing it myself. So yeah, so Deck the Halls Sal, Pumpkin Truck, Glitter House 8, Glitter House 9. 4 finishes. So that takes care of those. I do not have any FFOs this time to show off, so we'll now move into whips. And of course, most of these were whips at some point. My finishes were all whips at some point during the last 2 weeks. So in addition to those, I have these. I did put in some more work on my Be Inspired piece. This is by Stitch Rovia, and I'm stitching it on 32 count limestone Lugana. And what I did this time, let me fold this around so I can show you. I filled in this whole section and then, whoops, all of this banner here for the end, and then I filled in the top color, that red along the word believe. And I did that for the 24 hours of cross stitch November acrostic. That was work for that, which I have completed that acrostic for the month already, so that's nice to have that done. And here is what the pattern looks like when it's all done. This appeared in a UK magazine a couple of years ago, I believe, but you can get it on her Etsy shop. So I will I will link the Stitch Rovia shop on Etsy down in the description, or in my show notes, actually on my blog. That's where it will be, but that will be linked in the description below. Okay, let's move a couple of things around. I'm getting too many piles. Okay, next up, and this was also for the acrostic, I put in some more work on my Quilting Bee by the Blue Flower. And this is a stitch along I'm doing with Kim in Canada, A. So if you want to join us, just use the hashtag #TheQuiltingBeeSal. And I don't know how well it will show up on camera, but I actually have added some blending filament to the fill-in part here on the wings. I don't think that's going to show up very well, but it gives them some sparkle. And I am stitching this on 40 count vintage exemplar linen from Lakeside Linens. And I did see there is another bee coming out from Blue Flower. I'm very excited about that. I can't remember what it's called though, but I saw it pop up on a couple of my favorite Etsy shops for pre-order. So as much as I'm enjoying this one, I will probably get the new one as well. For those who don't know, oh, and this is what the Quilting Bee looks like. Oh. Yep. But for those who don't know, again, my name is Melissa, and the name Melissa is a derivative, or the etymology of it, I'm not sure what you would say, is from the Greek word for bee. So I kind of love all things bees. Okay, now the last one I didn't work on during this period since my last floss tube, but I forgot to show it in my last floss tube, so I'm going to show it now. This was a new start I did for high tea as part of the Friday Off the Grid group on Facebook. I'll link that group below. The last Sunday of the month is Sunday High Tea, and so you are supposed to work on something special, you know, either a new start or some project you really, really love, that, or something that has a lot of meaning to you. And so this was just a new start for me. And this is Log Cabin Autumn by Gracewood Stitches. And I bought this from creativepoppy.com, which is where I normally buy all my Barbara Anna charts as well. So, but here was my start on that. And I don't know what this linen is. It's just some linen I had in my stash. But oh my gosh, it is so stiff. I kind of regret now starting it on this. But I don't want to start over. And I need to use this linen anyway. But here, I'm in love with the colors on this design. Let me pull up my floss drops. Aren't those gorgeous? I love those colors. I think this is going to be so striking when it's done. But yeah, so, and since today I believe is the last, is that right? Yeah, today's the last Sunday for November, since today is the 24th and November only has 30 days. So yeah, so next Sunday will be December 1st. So that means today is high tea day again. So I'm probably going to work on this again today. And then I do have one more whip. It's not something I can show though, because it is gift stitching. It's a Christmas gift. So I'm probably about 3/4 of the way done getting it stitched, and then I'll need to FFO it. But I know the person who is receiving it follows me on some of my social media channels, so I don't want to risk showing it and have them see it. So when I get it all finished and FFO'd, I will record a quick little video clip and take some pictures, and I will show that at the first floss tube I record after Christmas, or after I give it to her. Okay, so that takes care of whips and finishes. I had no FFOs, so that brings us to haul. I do have a little bit of haul. I did put in an order with Dreama at Needlecraft Corner. She is one of my favorite online stores. And if you're not familiar, anytime you order from Dreama, she always includes a nice packet. I don't know if you can see, there's like 4 or 5 pages here of freebie charts. Okay, so the first thing I got from Dreama was Autumn Alphabet by the Scarlet House. And I will say, this is no fault of Dreama's, but I was kind of a little disappointed when I got this, because Dreama does, if you're not familiar, she does package deals. And so she'll put together the chart, the called for fabric, when available, and all the fibers. Except I don't think she doesn't usually include DMC if something calls for DMC, unless that's all it calls for. But if it's a mix of the over dyes or hand dyes and DMC, she generally only includes the fancy floss. But anyway, so I bought this because I absolutely loved how it looked. And then I got the called for linen, which in my estimation looks nothing like the linen in that chart, in the model. It's so much darker. And so now, I mean, and Tanya always does an amazing job picking colors, but this is just so different. It has me thrown for a little bit of a loop. I mean, I think the colors look okay on it, but I don't know. It's just so much darker, and I loved the look of it on the lighter fabric. Oh, let me get these straightened out so you can kind of see them better. This one oops, this side. This is the one I'm most concerned about. This is Nutmeg by Gentle Arts. It just seems like it's fairly close, especially when I've only got a strand or two of it. It just seems like it's going to be really close to the fabric color. So what I'm thinking I might do is use this linen for something else and instead substitute a linen that looks more like the one in the model. I have some 36 count vintage navy bean, if you remember, that I showed in my last Flosstube that I bought at Fall Fling during the Lakeside consignment sale. And I just bought it to have in my stash because I love vintage navy bean. So I might use that and then use this for something else. I'll put that in the bag later. Okay, the next thing I bought is Tom Turkey Sampler from Heart and Hand. And again, this was a package deal from Dreama. And so the linen is 36 count Winter Brew from R&R. And it is monochromatic, and the fiber is Almost Auburn by Classic Colorworks. Isn't that gorgeous? This one definitely seems to have more red in it. And this one seems to be a little more brown, but they are both Almost Auburn. So I like the one with the red in it a little bit better. Yeah, this one. But they're both really pretty. Okay, so that was my order from Dreama, which I think I said in my last Flosstube I had ordered a couple of things and we'd show them, so consider them shown. Okay, the next item I have is a complete enabling by Stephanie Webb at Lindy Stitches. She showed this in a recent Flosstube video and I fell in love with it. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. This is Moon and Spider Apple Cider. It is from Needlework Press. No idea yet exactly what fabric I'm going to stitch it on. I've got some applesauce from Color and Cotton. I might use that for it. It's a little more neutral where this is a little more yellow, but it definitely skews to the yellow side, that applesauce. So I might use that since I have it in my stash already. But I love that. I love this kind of checkerboard border. Of course, being from Tennessee, I love the Tennessee Vols, and they use orange and white checkerboard everywhere. So a good kind of checkerboard pattern always gets me. Okay, then I have a couple of Etsy shop purchases. The first one is from Barbie Tingley. Her Etsy store is called Pedal Pusher. And this is Peace on Earth, All is Calm. And I know that's kind of hard to see, but there's a couple of doves flying around. Super pretty. And she has it in another colorway as well called All is Bright, which I'll put up here. So if you want something a little brighter, not quite as subdued, there are your two options. And based on some of the reviews in the store, I think maybe in the past she had it bundled together and you got both colorways in a single pattern. But now she has split it out. And so she's got separate patterns for each. So you just have to decide what's your pleasure, something a little more neutral or something a little brighter. And then the next one, this is from Jordan Nicole, Little Stitch Girl. And this is the next in her series of houses called Blossom House. So this is kind of the spring house. If you're not familiar with this series, we've already had Harvest House, which was fall, and Frost House, which was winter. So of course we're all expecting we'll have a summer house coming at some point, but this is the spring version. And they all look very similar, just variations of colors. And the Frost House, rather than these types of flowers, has more winter type holly and berry kind of looking things, if memory serves. So yeah. And I'll link all these shops in my show notes. And then the next pattern I bought is the Ukrainian Folk Art Biskornu by Irina Mastakova. And I apologize, Irina, if I butchered your name. Her Etsy shop is Fireplace Hobby. And I absolutely love how this looks on that red fabric. Of course, you could do it on any color fabric and it would be really, really pretty, but that is just so striking on that red. It says it is Ruby Wine by Zweigart. Yeah. Okay, so that takes care of my haul. I do have a few more things that have not come in yet, so I will show those in my next video. But before I close this one out, I thought I would do something a little fun. I am a member of the Goose and Java Girl Stitches Facebook group. I'm sorry, it's Goose Designs and Java Girl Stitches Facebook group, which I'll link it down below. And they posted a Stitcher Q&A, I think it was probably last week, or maybe the early part of this week. Well, the week that just ended. It's been in the last 10 days or so. And a lot of people were answering it in the Facebook group, but I thought it would be fun to answer them here on my Flosstube channel. So here we go. Question 1. Change everything about a pattern or it's perfect as it is. I am generally not one who changes. I mean, I will change fabric all day, every day. Very rarely do I use the called for fabric unless it's something that I've bought a bundle from Dreama. But very rarely do I use the called for fabric. But as far as threads, and I think I've mentioned this in a video before, I generally use always the called for fibers because I'm not necessarily comfortable with changing colors and knowing that the new color I pick is going to go well with all the other colors. So I tend to stitch always with the recommended fibers. It's very, of course, the only exception would be if I were doing maybe a monochromatic piece, because then you don't have to worry about it matching anything else. You just have to worry about it matching your fabric and looking nice with your fabric. But yeah, that's really about the only time I change fibers is if I'm doing a monochromatic piece. Question 2, floss licker or ew, gross? I am a floss licker. I recently saw a video and I can't remember now who it was. It might have been Brenda at Handwork Maniac, I think. Anyway, they showed, it was her and her daughter. It was a duo, a mother-daughter duo, whoever it was. And they showed a way where you can kind of fold the floss over and pinch it very tightly between your fingers and then run the needle over it and thread it without having to lick the floss. And I do that occasionally when I think about it, but more often than not, after 45 plus years as a stitcher, I lick that floss every time. Question 3, recliner or bed for comfy stitching? The only time I stitch in bed is when I'm sick, and then only if I'm feeling well enough to stitch. More often than not, I am in my recliner. I have a aging recliner that may have to be replaced soon, but for now, that is my stitchy spot. I have a fabric little basket that sits right next to me on my right-hand side that has all my current whips, and I've got a little toolbox with, you know, my supplies and stuff. In fact, I may have shared a picture of it on Instagram, I think, during the Stitchaween hashtag. If I did, I'll post a picture of my stitchy spot right up here. Okay, number 4, favorite beverage while stitching. Same as when I'm recording my floss tubes, good old water. I am definitely a water drinker. I gave up soda, let's see, what year was it? 2013, maybe? Something like that, several years ago. not to say I never have a soda. I will have one on occasion. Like if I go out to a restaurant occasionally, I'll have one. But yeah, I don't keep it in the house anymore, or very rarely. I'll occasionally, pick up some Sprite, to have on hand in case I get an upset stomach or something like that. But yeah, no, for the most part, I just drink water. Occasionally I'll have some Crystal Light or some iced tea, but more often than not, it's just water. Okay, number 5, Flosstube or movies. I do both. I would say Flosstube a good portion of the time. But if I have a project I need to concentrate more on, I will tend to watch a movie instead. Because the problem with Flosstube is I get very distracted looking up at what other people are doing, and I find that I am more likely to make errors if I'm not careful. So if I have a very concentration intensive piece I'm working on, I will do a movie. Or TV. I love to binge watch Law and Order while I'm stitching. Because I cut the cable cord about a year ago, and so I only have streaming now. And I have Hulu Live TV for my primary. And then I supplement that with a service. It's either Philo or Philo. I'm not sure how they pronounce it. It's Philo. And I supplement with that because they have the Sundance Channel and We, I think it is. It's either We or OWN. I think it's We. And they show Law and Order marathons on the weekends. And so I have that. And then they also have the Hallmark channels, which I, for the first time ever this year, have gotten sucked into watching Hallmark Christmas movies. In the last 2 weeks, I've watched like 18 of them. Yeah. They're really great stitching movies because they're just lighthearted romantic comedies. Don't really require a lot of attention to be paid, especially after you've watched 1 or 2 of them, because the storyline on all of them is kind of the same. Someone, they're they need to save, or their store they need to save or something. And, the guy comes in and saves the day and they fall in love. But they are really fun fluff movies. So yeah, I am definitely. And in fact, I recently joined the Semi-Stain Stitchers group on Facebook, and I'll link that below as well. And they have a challenge going in December that is based on watching Hallmark movies. Yeah, so I'll be watching them in December as well. Okay, number 6, favorite snack while stitching. I do not eat while I'm stitching. And I know a lot of people do, and I'll see people use chopsticks to eat things so they don't get it on their fingers. But yeah, no, I don't eat around my food. And I'm not a big snacker anyway. I mean, occasionally I'll have a late night snack if I'm up really late watching TV or something, but I'm just not really a snacker at night. So yeah, it's not really something I do. Number 7, do you set a monthly budget for stitching goods? I should. I'll just leave it at that. I should. And I am planning, which I plan to talk about this in my next video, so I'll tease it a little bit. I'm going to talk about my 2020 stitching plans. And I'm hoping to kind of do a no spend 2020, except for fibers, if I need fibers or something. But I've got over 60, nearly 70 things fully kitted. I need to stitch those things. So, and that's why I don't have a monthly budget. I started the year really strong. I was in the Stitch from Stash group. And then I made it, because I was in the January to June group, and I made it all the way till May. And then in early June, I just fell off the rails. Completely blew my budget. Went so negative in the hole. I was never going to see the light of day. Oh no, I take it back. That was in May. I was never going to see the light of day, so I was finally like, screw it. I'm done. But I kind of want to get back to that sort of thing. So what I'm kind of thinking about, and my best friend and I were talking about this last night, Hi, Tracy. That's my best friend that I went to Fall Fling with, by the way. She's on Instagram as @WowPrincess, and she's a very beautiful stitcher as well. But we were talking about, because she's like me, she's got a lot of things kitted that she wants to stitch. So we were talking about maybe doing a modified stitch from stash, but not have a budget set at all. So 0 monthly budget, and only be able to buy things based on the credit we earn for our finishes. So that may be in the works for me for 2020. So we'll see. But I'll post more. I'll talk more about that in my next video. Okay, number 8. Do you like a lot of whips, or do more than 5 at it, or does doing more than 5 at a time make you sweat? I currently have, I think, 10 whips. So clearly doing more than 5 at a time does not make me sweat. Now, that being said, that number is way down from where my whips used to be. I went through my whips a couple of years ago and took a really hard look at them and decided which things I really still loved and which things didn't really hold my attention anymore. And so I did a major destash. I put quite a number of whips up for adoption because I knew I was never going to finish them, had no interest in finishing them. And actually, of my 10 whips I have right now, I have 2 that are kind of in that limbo right now. I just don't love them anymore. And the sad part is one of them is so close to being finished. And that is the Trick or Treat Fairy by Nora Corbett. All I have left to do is a little bit of like the spider webbing stuff at the bottom and the beading, and she'll be done. But every time I pick her up to work on her, I just don't love her anymore. So she may get put up for adoption. And then the other one, it's a Mirabilia. It is Siren and the Shipwreck. And same thing, every time I pick her up to stitch on her, I just don't love her anymore. When I bought her, that chart's from quite a number of years ago. And when I bought her, I was very much into a big mermaid kick, and I kind of am over it. So she may end up going up for adoption as well. So that takes care of the Stitcher Q&A, just those 8 questions. So I thought I will finish up with sharing about 2 new floss tubers I've discovered that I am in love with. The first is Niecy Lynn. Her name is Denise, and she lives in Texas. And she, I think, is my new favorite floss tuber. To begin with, being from the South, I love hearing her accent. Even though a Texas accent is different than a Southern accent, it's still very reminiscent of home to me, because I had a lot of relatives in Tennessee who were originally from Texas. So I heard that accent a lot growing up. And then I had friends in college who were from Texas. So I love hearing that. And the moment she won my heart was when she, in one of her recent videos, said, and I wrote it down so I wouldn't mess it up. She said, "Everything in my house is black, like my soul." I love that. And she's said a lot of other things that were equally humorous to me, because they're the type of expressions I would hear my family members say. People from the South have a way with words. and I miss that a lot, being in California for so many years. So if you have not checked out Niecy Lynn, you definitely should. And if you ever hear her talking about Shug and you wonder who that is, that's her son. That's her. Her grandchildren call her Shug. So I believe I have that right. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Denise. Okay, and then the second new floss tuber I've recently discovered that I am in love with is Carla in Japan. Her channel is Rolodex Stitches, and she is a girl after my own heart. And I love the stuff she's stitching on. And I will say, if you're easily offended by a bit of potty mouth language, it might not be the channel for you. But it does not offend me because it is very near and dear to my heart. So, I mean, I don't swear on my channel for the most part, but in real life, yeah, I do. So I'm just going to fess up. I have a bit of a potty mouth. And so I love hearing Carla, and she's just being herself, you know. And the main reason why I don't do that on my channel is because I know I've got a couple of friends who have children, and the kids watch YouTube with them. And so I don't want to, you know, start throwing off, you know, a bunch of swear words and then them be like, what are you doing? You know, my kids watch your channel. So, yeah. So those are the two new Flosstubers I'm loving. And so, again, I hope everyone, and we're going to wrap things up, I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving week if you're here in the U.S. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would certainly appreciate it if you would click that subscribe button down below and give me a like for this video so that more people can find my Flosstube channel. And if you're so inclined, you can even hit the little bell notification so that you will get notified every time I upload a new video. That's not generally something I do, so I very rarely, you know, ask people to do that for me. But YouTube is one of those platforms I watch all the time, so I rarely miss anything. But if you are an infrequent YouTube watcher, that bell notification is a great way to get notified when new content has been uploaded for your favorite Flosstubers. So I just thought I would throw out that little reminder so that people know about it. So that's it. I just lost what I was going to say yeah, I don't know. Anyway, all right, everyone. Have a great week and happy stitching. Bye-bye.